Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Exposition Table. I'm your first host, Joe,
And I'm your other host, Dan.
and we are talking about a special show that we are not watching and we have not watched.
We are not watching Velma.
So how you doing tonight, Dan?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I was doing pretty good today. I was feeling good. There was a lot of good news that came out today about Power Rangers Cosmic Fury. I got to watch a fun live stream seeing a former actor completely destroy his career on an insane rant and tirade. But instead of talking about that, we're talking about something that both of us are less experienced in. Scooby-Doo. What is your experience with Scooby-Doo, Joe?
Um, Honestly, not much outside of just kind of growing up around it, but I've never really been a Scooby Doo enjoyer. Not that I say I really ever disliked it. Just don't have much experience with it as a whole.
Scooby-Doo, I only really watched, I was big into Pup Named Scooby-Doo. I love the James Gunn duology. I thought they were weird as a kid, but then when I realized that I was older, and then I'm like, oh yeah, these are part of this. Once you accept yourself as being bisexual, you unlock the ability to truly enjoy the Scooby-Doo duology. It just snaps for you. You're like, oh, now I can access this movie. Um, and, some other stuff here and there. And it's really good because the good thing about Velma is it's brought the Scooby-Doo fan base together, all together. Whether you're a fan of the original series, What's New, you're a fan of Be Cool Scooby-Doo, everyone can come together to say, this show has fucking nothing to do with Scooby-Doo and is a fucking disgrace to the Scooby-Doo franchise.
Yeah, it's very rare that you see an entire fandom, and even the outside of the fandom at large, all unanimously agree that something is this abhorrent.
Yeah. Yeah, so I remember we all saw the trailer and we all kind of thought that this show was looking bad. Uh, that first trailer was full of the meta humor. We got to see Mindy Kaling's approach on Velma, and that the only joke she really had was, "Oh look, I'm not white, like I used to be." And look, I watched Scream once,
Yeah,
and that was
like
a bad omen. That was a bad omen for the show.
I pretty much like right out of the gate, I pretty much knew that I was not gonna like it, even if I did see it.
And then the full proper trailer came out, and it only reaffirmed all of our concerns. Uh,
Look, I'm just gonna
like,
run out of the gate and say I'm tired of shows that I'm tired of media that hates itself.
yeah. And that's a big part of this, is that this show just seems like, we give all the prop and credit to the animators and the people who have to physically put this thing together. Those guys are the MVPs. And to give a smidge of positivity, I do think that the show is animated decently. I think it looks alright. I'm
Yeah,
not the biggest fan of the redesigns, especially not Norville. But I don't think it looks bad. Um, I think some of the animation's pretty fluid, from what I've seen of the teasers, which being that we haven't watched the show and this is a non-review, keep in mind, we might not have all the info. I've seen a couple clips on Twitter, some of the really bad clips on Twitter, some of the really bad things. Um, but yeah, no, like the animation's fine. But I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Other than that,
This is in fact a video on why we are not watching it.
like saying water's wet.
I mean, I was already not going to watch it unless it was literally the best thing ever made because I'm not going to pay for HBO Max after everything.
Yeah, I folded a little on that. They had too good of a deal around Christmas. You get 3 months for $1 a piece, so we have it for the foreseeable future. See what I can get out of it. When my subscription goes back to normal price, I'll consider dialing back. But
I
yeah,
can't
no,
I can't in
no,
good
I don't.
conscience.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't disagree with you. I'm easily. We were just actually talking about this off recording earlier this afternoon. Is how susceptible I am to marketing. How overtly susceptible I am to marketing about things like this. So
Yeah.
I accept being a corporate sludge. And who knows? Perhaps I will be beaten down by the world enough that I will watch Velma. However, I was going to wait until the show was announced to be definitively canceled and not renewed for a second season before I decide to watch any of it. But now that it's already been announced as the number one animated series streaming on HBO, which, to be fair, considering the week before they cut like 500 episodes of Looney Tunes off their service, and they've cut like half a dozen other shows off their service, uh, you're really skewing that number in Velma's favor.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
you
like,
know,
if you're calling your own content, can you really call it a win?
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it's already guaranteed for a second season, so perhaps down the line I'll cave and I'll see what it's all about when more episodes come out. Maybe we'll do a non review and actually review it when the show is all said and done and see how terrible it is. However, I feel like that's just recycling the same ideas that everyone's already known. You in particular, Joe, had some very keen thoughts about what the show's purpose is, so I'm gonna let you have the floor for that.
Alright. I think that this show is sacrificial trash. What I mean by that is that I think this show, like, alright, it's already pretty blatantly designed to piss as many people off as possible. Like, it straight up advertises, like, jokes it makes about people who still watch cartoons. It's clearly trying to piss off a very specific audience with the redesigns. It's very crass, it's very mean-spirited, and it's obviously, pretty horrendous all around. And I do think it's grounds for Warner to justify gutting their animation division even further.
Either that, or at least gutting children's animation,
Yeah.
And focusing more on the big boy adult content, because, you know, I feel like they've only been really cutting children's animation. They've been doing quite a lot for adult animation, and that's here or there, but that's also DC, is a lot of their adult animation,
Yeah, I
so,
was gonna say, it's
yeah.
like mostly DC, but everything apart from that.
Yeah, so anything that's not
'Cause-
DC animation. Because it
Yeah,
seems like our boy up top really only wants to focus on DC and a couple other things. But anything else, even
yeah,
Scooby Doo, to get the axe.
yeah. Like, in a previous conversation, I kind of brought up how, back in 2016, Nintendo released Chibi Robo Ziplash, a game that had that mechanically had nothing to do with the franchise it was based off of. Specifically saying that if you want more Chibi Robo, you have to buy this game, full well knowing that no one was going to be happy with it, so they had an excuse to never notice Chibi Robo ever again.
That one weird time they brought his flaming corpse up on Twitter to advertise Dark Souls. That was a day.
Yeah, it's like, it's not unheard of for companies to straight up try to ensure a certain thing, send something out to die. My
I
other big
mean,
example, which is a lot more applicable to this, is how in 2011 Disney released a Winnie the Pooh movie in the same week as the final Harry Potter film, and then proceeded to never make a high budget 2D production ever again.
yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy how companies do a lot of that stuff. For me, it's not necessarily the same, but it reminds me of the infamous Fantastic Four pilot from the 90s, where they filmed, shot, and produced this whole thing. But before the actors were going to go out and market it, they told them, yeah, we're not, like, airing this. This is just, like, a thing to rights or taxes or something. We made this as cheap and shitty as possible, specifically with the intent of never airing it. Um, companies are pretty fucking disgusting about that. I mean, even just to bring it recently is last year, Batgirl,
the movie was
Batgirl.
basically done, and then they just cut it just to avoid taxes.
Well, yeah, to get a break on their taxes, and it's funny that something like that got completely cut. And wasn't there like, was it like Tom and Jerry or like some animated
Scoob.
special that was done? Huh?
A holiday special of Scoob.
Oh yeah, yeah. Scooby Doo got they cut that, and yet put out Velma. And you know for a fact Velma was in pre-production when that decision was made.
Yeah.
So, are they trying to not do something with Scooby Doo? Are they trying to kill Scooby Doo? I don't know why you would do that. That's one of your few biggest brands in the 60 years. You know, bruh.
Like, it can't.
I know
just
Scoob
be
didn't
taxes,
perform.
right?
I know Scoob didn't perform the best in the box office, but I don't think that's justification to kill the entire 60-year franchise. Just because the most recent Scooby-Doo movie, they didn't even underperform. It just didn't do great, you know, compared to other movies, or compared to past. I would guess it seemed like it didn't hit projections, for various reasons. Part of which being that people just didn't want to watch it. But you know, it just doesn't make sense why they would do that. They've done. Warner has been doing so much crazy shit with this, with all of their brands. Zaslab's got to be kicked out of there.
Yeah.
It's. How long? They made this show specifically knowing people would hate it. You get a person who people really liked and didn't know all of her personal, like, closet skeletons that she kind of has been wearing more openly lately. You get her to make this really passive-aggressive, mean-spirited show.
Mm-hmm.
And you just do it to piss off a fan base that, like, is generally, you know, treated pretty... like, they're not treated shitty, but, like... You know, when you think of Scooby-Doo, it's not really like your pristine, prestige IP, you know? You think about the fact that you go to Cracker Barrel and there's 3 DVDs of Scooby-Doo and John Cena, all with different movies on them, all there in the $5 bin section next to the, you know, Cracker Jacks. It's like, that's what you think of Scooby-Doo. So it's like, you know, they finally had a big movie like a year ago with Scoob, or a year or two ago with Scoob, and, you know, people are finally starting to talk about some of the other shows and bring them up, you know. Mystery Incorporated has been getting, like, a big buzz over the last year or so. Before all the Velma stuff, people were really starting to bring that back into the forefront. And now people are even starting to look back at Be Cool Scooby-Doo and be like, you know what, that one wasn't so bad. So, we're in, like, a weird Scooby renaissance, that is being very quickly snuffed out, or at the very least, it's been very much poisoned.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Warner wins because what people are doing is they're all watching the older shows as like a, you know, way to like sort of almost not get back at them, but like kind of show like, no, this is where we really put our passions in. But you realize that they're just getting money differently, right? If you watch Velma on HBO, you're giving them money. But if you watch Be Cool Scooby-Doo on HBO, you're still giving them money. You're just giving them different money. Because HBO also has ads, and so if you're watching it on, you know, there, you're also directly giving them money for ads, even beyond the subscription. So, they're still getting your money, they're just getting your money differently. I don't think they care whose pockets you're taking out of. But, I guess, to get onto the show for, like, a minute, I mean, like, there's a lot we could say about why the show looks fucking terrible, but the fact that they made each character so reprehensively not only awful but play into the worst stereotypes about their character just seems so disrespectful to the IP, you know? They have something to do with drugs, which I hate. Can't think of any good jokes for Daphne, what she said, but yeah.
It is quote unquote funny, as in kind of scummy, and I guess that's the point of it all, that when they finally made an adult an adult comedy show, they decided to lean into the fact that they were teenagers in high school.
Yeah.
And, like, of all times.
It's like they decided to Riverdale Scooby-Doo. It's like, people already think Riverdale sucks, so I don't know what you're trying to do here.
Yeah. It's like...
I don't think the teens watching Riverdale and, you know, all that shit are gonna be like, oh man, Scooby-Doo, but for teens. It's like, bro, that's not how this works. They made, Fred. Fred, I think, is the one that, like, bothers me the most, and he's the one that people talk about the least. Is that they took Fred. Fred's not, like, my favorite character. In most cases, he's my least favorite character, because he's the boring, bland, you know, protagonist who's been slowly morphed more into a himbo over the last 20 years or so. And that's where I've started to like him a lot more. But they decided to forgo that and make him a spoiled man-child who, in canon, according to Velma, has a small wiener, because making jokes about people's dick sizes is comedy, especially if you're a female. Because, you know, a guy would think it's so funny to say, hey, that girl has small boobs. That's a joke. That her boobs are small. And also, like, you know, he can't feed himself because he's a man-child. And then fucking Daphne's whole personality is just being a bitch. Just being a stuck-up bitch who's gay for Velma, because they're both into each other. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, but, like, I'm not gonna root for LGBT representation in a show with the worst fucking characters possible.
Yeah, you don't get bonus points just from having a gay couple.
Yeah. You don't... You don't get points. Actually, I think you should lose points, because you've made an reprehensible set of people I don't want to see get happy and be with anybody, because they're fucking terrible. I don't want anybody in the show to be happy, except maybe Norville. He's okay. But that's just because they made Shaggy, usually the character that's the most personality driven, the normal straight man. He's the normal guy. Fucking Shaggy. That's almost a joke in and of itself. As though they took the fucking funny man and made him normal.
Yeah, and
And
there's also no
Scooby.
Scooby-Doo. Why are we even here?
Why are we even here? I don't know. Like, you all know Velma's fucking a despicable piece of trash. We all know it's a despicable piece of trash. They put this show out here to scorch the earth of their animation division. It's only gonna piss people off, and we all know that people can't resist hate-watching anything. Regardless if things are good or not, everything gets a goddamn second season the minute it gets hate-watched. Like, I don't know. They got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, they got exactly what they wanted. They got the clicks, they got the eyes on it.
They got the money. They got the justification. Well, except no. If did they? I don't know if they underestimated how many people were gonna hate watch, because I don't know. If people are watching Velma, then, you know, can they get rid of their animation division? I mean, they could downscale the kids' animation division and say, oh look, the kids' animated shows aren't doing well, so let's get rid of all of them. No season 8 of Bat Wheels. I know that the adult animation and animation in general is a broader topic, but do you see this as a negative that could potentially affect the rest of the adult animation? Let's briefly talk for a second about, you know, the rest of the adult animation industry. In general, I'm sure you've heard plenty about Netflix, how every 5 minutes they're canceling a new show.
Yeah.
What was it? The most recent one, Inside Job, was taken out, and that was a pretty damn popular show. That was one of their highest rated shows. in terms of viewership, and that got the axe. Like, fucking everything's getting cut. It's like, what's left? Is this the beginning of the end? You know, are we gonna go? Is the 2020 is gonna be the decade where we lose really good adult animated comedies for a while? The 2010s were a great decade for them. That really
Yeah.
brought them back. But are we going to be entering an age where we're gonna be left with scraps? The bare minimum.
Yeah. The resurgence of the 2010s for a lot of animation just kind of got better across the board in the 2010s. A lot more of it just, trying new things, and it really looks like we're young for a regression.
Yeah.
Not out of a lack of interest, but out of corporate spite.
Yeah, like when the CEO of your goddamn company, whose the company whose fucking mascot is a talking bunny, and you're gonna tell me that animation's for children?
Yeah, no,
And that's just Disney. What the fuck do you think's going on over at Warner Brothers?
nah, it infuriates me as an artist.
Yeah, we might be entering the dark ages for animation. Which is weird because it feels like things are good, but it feels like that for right now. Like, sure, right now we're getting good stuff like, Cyberpunk Edge Runners just came out not that long ago. Other stuff. I'm sorry. I know there's been a lot of other really good anime. Again, Inside Jobs is pretty good. Um, stuff like Harley Quinn, was really good. There's been a lot of really good stuff. I know that for you in the 2010s, there were a lot of really big shows like BoJack and all that really influential, animation. And of course, like kids animated shows, those shows still continue to suffer and struggle. God, I'll have to wait until it's completely canceled before I decide I want to watch Owl House or Amphibia, because I always see they look so good, but I don't want to start and then be disappointed when they're canceled. I'm just gonna wait for them to be canceled and dead in the ground.
Cancelled, we're done.
Yeah. I can't put myself through the pain of trying to be strung along like that. I'm pretty sure one of them already is canceled by now, but yeah. Hey, Phineas and Ferb's coming back, so good for them. Legacy IP. Are they gonna have... Is Phineas and Ferb gonna get an M-rated reboot?
I can't believe Warner's so bad that it's making people cheer for Bob Iger coming back to Disney.
Fucking crazy. Man, they could bring back Michael Eisner, and people would be giving a standing ovation compared to Warner.
Compared to Zaslav.
Zaslav. Ugh. His name sounds like a curse.
Yeah.
But no.
Nah. So in short,
we're
not only is the show reprehensibly bad, but it seems to be part of an anti-art movement.
yeah. The show is some kind of scam. It's some kind of justification, but we don't know what yet. We don't truly know the ripples that Velma's going to have for at least a good few years.
Yeah.
Velma had to have been production before Zaslav took over, but I feel like he had to have been aware of this, and I feel like he had to have greenlit this to some degree.
Yeah.
Like, I think he must have been, like, in the prep stages for this maneuver, that this is one of the initiatives he wanted to get off the ground. Because animation ain't quick.
Yeah.
But...
we all know that Warner has not been shy to cancel something when it's almost done.
Yeah. And not shy to cancel things that are popular.
So, how did this get through?
Someone had a plan. Someone had an agenda. Like, it just doesn't add up because, as we said, it's like all the other. There's no. This doesn't seem like a show that should be existing right now. This show feels like it's been pulled from time. Like, if you told me the show was coming out in like 2016, I'd be like, yeah, you know what, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like 2023, like, what the fuck is a show like this even doing? Like, fucking, there's a Deadpool. Like, I'm sorry, I should say Deadpool as an insult, to be very clear. Derivative Deadpool-esque comedy. Like, you do know what 420 is. Yeah, it's code for people adults who still watch cartoons. Bro, why does the show hate its audience?
Yeah, I think after so long, we've mentioned this in a few past videos recently, where I feel like enough people are getting tired, or at least very privy to mean-spirited meta humor.
Yeah. I feel like we've been entering an age of just, like, better, more positive, wholesome shows.
Genuine.
I mean, yeah, genuine is probably a better word than wholesome. Like, I've been noticing that lately. I've been kind of going on a bender of, like TV sitcoms and stuff, kind of going up through the decades and stuff, and it's like, the late 2000s into the 2010s were a lot more bitter and mean-spirited than stuff that's coming out in the last 5 years or so. It feels a lot more genuine, a lot more sincere, and, you know, to be fair, different strokes, different folks. For some people, they really enjoy that, you know, that sort of mean-spiritedness, that sort of, like, meta humor, that, you know, biting commentary. That was just the style.
That was just
the
the
style those
of
days.
The past generation. So now that we're here,
this feels like a outdated. Like, this feels completely antiquated and not like what people like now.
Yeah.
So who the fuck is watching? Who the fuck wanted to watch? I want you to tell me in the comments, do you know a single person who watched Velma because they thought it was gonna be good?
I'm really curious to see if someone was actually looking forward to watching Velma.
And tell me if they're younger than 40. Because I can't think of... This is the kind of shit they should be putting on, like, cable, on, like, fucking CBS or some shit like that, where it's just, like, in between your 2.5 Men's and your fucking Big Bang Theory, slap an episode of Velma, and it's like... Or, like, after Family Guy, you know? Put on fucking Velma. It'll be right at home. Or, fuck, put it on Adult Swim. This shit would have done, like, actually well. Maybe at, like, 3 in the morning when I'm barely conscious and I'm halfway through a Little Caesars extra most cheesiest pizza while I feel my foot falling asleep, I could laugh at 420 adult cartoon and Fred penis joke. But Cognizant is like, why would I actively seek this out? Literally nothing about the show makes sense. The more I talk about it, the less sense it makes.
Yeah, the more you think about it, I mean, I guess that's my first mistake, is thinking about it. But the more you think about it, the more befuddling the whole situation is. I've talked about it so much and how distasteful and how much I don't like it. And now I don't have anything else to say about the show.
We didn't even talk about the show. What's there to say? We're not reviewing it. We didn't watch the show.
Yeah, from what I heard, like the first 3 minutes, like one of the scenes opens up and 2 cockroaches having sex, and that kind of set the whole tone. So it's like,
I already told you about the fucking Fred can't feed himself scene in the courtroom. His tiny dick. Velma and Daphne are gay. I will tell you, there's a scene near the end of, I think it's the 2nd episode, where Velma's having a panic attack, and she overcomes it by laughing it away. And yeah, for some people that works, but it's very clearly meant to be like, oh, you know, let's not take mental health seriously, and let's just make a joke about how much she doesn't understand Norville's feelings. As he professes his love to her because he's the only fucking normal one.
You know what? I have one last thing to say about this show. You know who's the one character you could have brought back that would have made sense here?
I'm very curious. Out of the pantheon of Scooby-Doo characters, who's gonna be the one?
If there was a time to dust off Scrappy Doo,
What would you have done in here?
Scrappy Doo in a shitty, raunchy adult comedy.
You just have Conker.
Yeah,
Dude,
he'd be Conker. Everyone already hates Scrappy. No one.
Bro, imagine if they did that instead. It'd be kind of like a Space Ghost or something like that, where it's just like the Hanna-Barbera multiverse of characters. We have Scrappy Doo. That would have been a better, different show. Yeah, that show would be mean-spirited and it'd be like BoJack, basically.
Yeah, you'd have BoJack energy.
BoJack, except you get jokes about how he's like 2 foot tall, which would be very in poor taste to, shorter people. But, I'd rather have that awful than this awful.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I have to say. There's no constructive criticism I could belt out for the show. A, I haven't watched it. Also, B, this show knows what it's doing. This does not happen by accident.
I wonder if hot dog water is gonna come back.
Alright.
So, Joe, to explain the Scooby-Doo lore, in Mystery Incorporated, there's a girl that's definitely gay for Velma, that's named Hot Dog Water, who is fucking shot to death off screen. Should have brought her back.
Yeah.
And now Joe's doing the fucking Rain Man, Beautiful Mind, like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Danny,
Justice for Hot Dog Water and justice for Velma.
Danny, what the fuck are you talking about?
Dan, what the fuck are you talking about?
Alright.
Well, I wonder if this Velma's getting into multiverses. The only battle pass to sell 0 units. The one with the fucking Velma series, HBO Velma in it.
Yeah, if you just wanna kill multiverses.
But the only battle pass to sell negative units. People are asking for their money back on a free game.
As a tax write-off, we had to remove Finn from the game.
Well, with all that said, guys, we want to know what your guys' non-opinions about Velma are. Are you watching the show? I don't judge anyone who is watching the show. Like I said, the inevitability of the fact that the show was going to get a second season means that, look, it's one of those things where, yeah, I know I shouldn't watch the show. I didn't watch the show. And yet, it's still getting renewed for a second season. So clearly, whatever they wanted to happen already happened. What can I do? Outside of just, I'm recording this to you guys and letting you guys know that as of this period of time, we have not watched the show. But, maybe when it's all said and done, I'll see how much of a train wreck this really is and hate myself. And maybe that's where I'll start developing an alcohol problem.
But
I might watch Be Cool Scooby-Doo though. I definitely want to watch Mystery Incorporated. That shit hits.
if I ever have an excuse to see it and not pay for HBO Max,
It'll be the one HBO Max show to get a DVD released.
alright, so until next time.
We'll see you guys back at the table.